What is up, my beautiful people? Hope you're having a terrific day. Exile451 here with yet another daily dose of Reddit Happy. It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. That's right, we're going back into AskReddit for some funny stories that I'm sure are gonna make you bust a gut. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Alright, so the AskReddit question is, legal professionals of Reddit, what's the funniest way you've ever seen a lawyer or defendant blow a court case? And buckle up, because there are some doozies here. I had a case where a lawyer who apparently had expertise in areas other than litigation decided to litigate a case for one of his clients. He asks to depose my guy. No problem. I meet with my guy and get him all prepared for testimony. We sit down at the deposition, he's sworn in, and we're ready to go. First question isn't, would you please state your name or anything like that? No. First question was something like, isn't it the truth in this case on April 6th, 2004, you, and then a conclusory statement about his whole claim. I objected. My guy says, no. Other lawyers shuffled his papers and after a lengthy pause, asks the second question. You sure? My brother was on a jury back in the days of MySpace. A woman had been hit by a big rig during foggy weather, and she was suing for a back injury. The last day of the trial, they asked her if she has a MySpace account and brought up her site for the jury to see. I think all profiles were open then. There's a picture of her dancing on the hood of a car, and right next to it is a text exchange of her saying that she shouldn't go out too much because her lawyer says that she has to look injured. Needless to say, she lost that case. And then a follow-up one after that. A judge I worked for once oversaw a trial where a woman claimed to have been so badly maimed by a boob job she couldn't bear to go out in public. The case had been going for 3 years to get to the trial. On cross-examination, the defense attorney for the woman's doctor spent 2 hours reading every one of the woman's tweets since the surgery allowed. Brought in blown-up pics of the woman's posts, of her in a bikini and Aruba and out at the bars for ladies' night in miniskirts and low-cut shirts. On a break, the woman ran out of the courtroom crying. 20 minutes later, her lawyer came back in and informed the judge she was dropping the case. What are these people thinking? It's 2019. Everything is documented. You're not gonna get away with that. Ah, idiots. Idiots. I once attended oral arguments for U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. It's pretty much the big time. I watched a lawyer argue that his client received what's known as ineffective assistance of counsel at the trial for which she was appealing. The attorney, however, was not doing a very good job during oral arguments. So, at one point, one of the judges on the panel leans forward and asks him, "Counselor, are you currently providing ineffective assistance of counsel?" Not a legal professional, but I do have a good story on this topic. 15 or so years ago, my dad was the manager of a small hotel. One of the semi-regular customers was this big Samoan dude, who booked in for a day at a time, always had a few visitors, and always paid in cash, in a 1-to-1 conversion with American dollars. Highly unusual in Australia. Dad always said he was a great customer, very friendly with the staff, never gave anyone any problems, and always had a bit of a chat when he checked in. One day, a couple of detectives walked up and asked to speak to my dad. They showed him a photo of the aforementioned customer and asked if he was currently staying in the hotel. Dad confirmed that he was, and in a matter of minutes, a small contingent of cops arrived, stormed the room, and escorted the guy away in handcuffs. Turns out the guy was a pretty major drug dealer, and was wanted in a couple of states. Cut to the court date quite some time later. My dad is in the witness stand, and, for whatever reason, the defense is trying to make out like my dad didn't know the defendant and had never seen him before. Obviously, my dad insisted that he did in fact know the defendant, but that line persisted from the defense. As my dad left the witness box, he walked past the defendant and said, "Hi, Barry," to which Barry enthusiastically replied, "Hi, Jason, how are you?" While I'm sure this wasn't the only thing that counted against him in the case, it certainly can't have helped. He ended up getting quite a few years in jail. My father is an attorney, and he always had a story for us when we'd ask him this question. He tells it way better than I do, but I'll give it a shot. Some dude was allegedly smashing a wall with a sledgehammer with others in order to break into a private property. The cops rolled up, and he's the only one to get caught. Fast forward a few months, and this guy's in court. Apparently, a cop says something about how the defendant was the only one caught, but there were 2 other men who fled on foot and couldn't be apprehended. My father's client's face lights up in an aha moment, and he immediately tells the judge, "Not true, there were 4 of us." I guess he thought if he could disprove someone that said he was there, he'd be let go. Safe to say he was found guilty of vandalism. My father says the judge just kind of sighed and told my father it would be a good idea to keep his client quiet. And a response to that one, "This is great. Reminds me of a Judge Judy episode where the plaintiff accused 2 boys of stealing money out of her purse, and the defendant's response was, 'Not true, there was no money in that purse.' And then it goes on. I made this mistake once. Asked for a copy of the complaint against me. Lo and behold, I was accused of driving an unregistered 4-door pickup. But my unregistered truck has 2 doors. I gleefully pointed this glaring error out to the prosecutor, who proceeded to fix the mistake and submit the correct info. Judge gave me half off the fine, though. Defendant is apprehended for warrants and asks judge for bail. Tells judge he moved and was not served with the warrants, but there are some questions as to his identity. Judge asks defendant where he was born. Defendant says Puerto Rico. Defendant totally looks mestizo, not Puerto Rican at all. Judge asks, "Where in Puerto Rico?" Defendant says, "San Juan." Judge asks defendant, "When were you last in San Juan?" Defendant says, "A couple of years ago." Judge asks defendant, "How did you get there?" Defendant replies, "I went on the Amtrak." Judge would not grant bail. When you flunk geography, it's for a long time. This lawyer was running through the evidence against the guy he was defending, trying to claim there wasn't enough to even call a trial. All totally fine, except he said, "I believe a more seasoned judge wouldn't have let this trial move forward." Not knowing that the judge he's speaking to gave the okay to move the trial to this court. He was immediately given a hard motion denied. Oh gosh, I can only imagine how red his face was. A more seasoned judge, I am the judge. So, a defense lawyer was delivering her closing statement to the jury. In her final sentence, she said, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I urge you to find my client guilty." There was a moment of silence, and she then says, "Not guilty, I mean not guilty." And then the comments here, "I assume the client was found guilty?" Freudian slip there. Yes, he was. Now that might qualify as ineffective assistance of counsel. I'm an attorney, and I heard about a hearing where there were several criminal defendants before the judge. The judge noticed a strong pot smell in the courtroom and asked if any of the defendants had pot on them. No one came forward, and the judge proceeded. But the odor became stronger and stronger until the judge demanded the perpetrator to come forward. Finally, one of them came forward and had several bags of weed on him. I'm not sure what the charges were before him that day, but I wouldn't want to have been his attorney. And then comments here, "Who brings weed to a courtroom?" I know, right? Like, who goes to trial thinking, "Oh, I've got everything I need. I've got my lawyer's papers, I've got my identification. I feel like, oh yeah, my bags of weed. Let's take bags of weed into your trial." Who is this stupid? And then someone else responding to that, "I work at a courthouse, and while I haven't seen the specific thing, I am often shocked by the kinds of things people think are appropriate for court. Insane clown posse shirt, hitting your kid, and screaming at someone on your cell phone in a marble hallway are some of the recent incidents that come to mind. And further, I had a guy recently come in for sentencing. He was really just a little punk who didn't do his community service hours, so I couldn't figure out why the judge was being so frosty until I realized his sweater said, 'Can't stop the crooks.' Also, if I had $1 for every drug-related piece of clothing I've seen accuseds wear, I could quit and pursue my lifelong dream of translating and typesetting French comics." That is an oddly specific lifelong dream. Oh, it just reminds me of this story I read a couple of years ago, I think, about this guy who wore an F the police shirt to a criminal hearing, and then didn't understand why he wasn't given bail. Some people. I don't know how true this story is, but my dad said he took his Camaro out late at night to speed and got an exhibition of speed ticket. Challenged it in court, saying it wasn't/couldn't be an exhibition of speed because he was alone and there was no one to exhibit speed to. And then a comment there, "Got on something like this once. Was arrested for disturbing the peace. In that jurisdiction, at least one person had to be disturbed. Showed up to trial, and the cops read their statements in full. My lawyer asked if they had any evidence that anyone was disturbed. They had forgotten to ask anyone, so I got off. Oh, gotta love that. I observed a case where the plaintiff attorney played Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror as his closing argument to evoke an emotional response in the jury. He lost. Not an exact fit for the answer, but I once worked at a company where we found out that a lawyer was trying to arrange a class action suit against us before it got off the ground. We found out because this lawyer attempted to email her client, but accidentally emailed us instead, with all the details of the class action. Seriously, how do you send that email off to the wrong person? How does that happen? Whatevs, man. Oh, whatevs. That was r/AskReddit, and if you're looking for more AskReddit stories, then go ahead and check out the playlist link in the description below. Now you guys go out there, have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.